I'm drifting away into the darkness. Izothatha umthwalo ndimbeke mqolo mama. Ubomi bunzima. So lift my head up high, open my eyes, and I will fly. Oh, I'm barely coping, I'm feeling closing, looking up, hoping the heavens will open. Mdali wesulu, dikhalela kuwe. Open up, I'm feeling closer now. The light is shining brighter, but I'm losing my flow. Kudala, isiwa ndivuka, ndifuna noluthando, ndifuna noluthando. Kudala, ndifuna ubomi buvume vungama ngonya, vungama, vuleka, 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 vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu. Oh, vuleka, 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 vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu. I'm giving, they taking, tripping, I'm falling. Tell me I'm nothing, don't care what they're saying. I'm begging you, darling, stop losing your flow. No more drifting, no more drifting away. Livumile kamaku, apulekile masulu. I'm fighting for survival. Dilikawe, dilikawe, dingonyama. Vuleka, 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 vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu. Oh, vuleka, 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 vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu, vuleka masulu.
It is the incomparable Amanda Black coming through, opening up the show for us. And of course, you know that she's had a rather busy second quarter of the year. She's been out and about performing. In fact, I think she's actually going to be on stage at the beginning of August. Yes, the Africa Unite Cultural Festival. She's going to be performing there in Hemingway's. So if you find yourself within that vicinity, then definitely something for you to diarize and put into your calendar. That was Amanda Black with Amazulu, showing her vocal dominance in this particular song. It's just gone 10 past 1 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. I hope you're having a good day. It is a Tuesday, a beautiful Tuesday in our side of the country. I hope the weather is behaving similarly in your side, wherever you find yourself in, within the borders of South Africa. We've got lots of conversation coming your way today. We're looking at impactful play on mental wellness and development for children, and having an overall conversation around the mental wellness of kids. Perhaps there are some tips and pointers that we can walk away with here from our guest, who is an educational psychologist. Also coming up, we're going to delve into an exhibition that is opening as part of the Freystart Arts Festival 2024. And we're going to be talking to the curator of that particular festival. And then on the other side of two, in matters of health and wellness, researchers have discovered a potential vaccine to prevent tuberculosis in people of all ages. And we'll delve into that conversation on the other side of two. Our lines are open on 086 000 2032. That's the number that you can call us on, or 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line. Also asking you the question, just for a little family meeting between you and I, where we get to share our various experiences and perspectives. So I'm wondering, if you are a parent, or you've been a parent and your kids are now older, maybe they're out of the house, but when you reflect back on parenting and your preparation, what surprised you most about parenting? What is the thing that took you maybe even aback about parenting that you weren't told about, that you wish maybe you were told about, or you wish maybe you were warned about? Or perhaps someone could have whispered in your ears, Wuti, by the way, expect this thing. What is the one thing about parenting, or maybe there's even two things about parenting that kind of took you off guard during the journey of you parenting? Whether you are a parent right now, or you've parented and now your kids are a little bit older, or perhaps you are preparing to be a parent. And there's some things that you kind of think, wait a minute, somebody should be telling me about this, or somebody should be warning me about this. This is what we want to know. Just a little light-hearted sharing of experiences between you and I on 086 000 2032 and 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line, where you can send through your WhatsApp voice notes. You are more than welcome to send them through right now. In fact, my producers are standing by, because I'm really interested in knowing, what is the one thing that took you off guard? One of my producers, who's a parent, said nobody told her just how much energy children require, especially in the context of having maybe a little rambunctious, overly active little person that you need to keep up with. She's just like, nobody told, and I believe her, because she comes to the show every other day. And you can see that it looks as though she's been running around, trying to wrangle in her little one. So 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's take a quick pause.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. You are listening to The Full Circle.
So, in recognition of Men's Mental Health Awareness that was observed in June, a very distinguished educational psychologist is discussing, or has discussed, positive play and parenting, particularly for young boys. And we've had a lot of conversations, right, about raising well-balanced, self-aware young boys into a beautiful generation of young men. And so we thought we'd have this conversation around the impact of play on child mental wellness and development, and in particular on boys, and by extension also just looking at mental wellness issues, where kids are concerned, because maybe we never really focus too much on children when it comes to mental health, and we probably should. And so we've invited educational psychologist Sinovuyo Arosi to join us in conversation. How are you doing this afternoon, Sinovuyo?
Good afternoon, Bridget. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming through and, of course, sharing your expertise. Let's talk about also, just the importance of having a conversation around mental wellness as it pertains to children in particular, because we're always talking about adult mental wellness, women, men, we segregate ourselves into the various genders, but we never really hone in and focus on children.
Sure. You're quite right. And I think it's important to say quite clearly that some of the mental health difficulties that we see in adulthood can be traced back to difficulties that started in childhood. And so by speaking about child mental health and the well-being of children, we're also thinking about the future adults of our world. And so child mental health is very important and central to us dealing with mental health even in adulthood.
Absolutely. And of course, we did say that we want to look at the impact of play on children's mental wellness. And what defines, or how do we define quality play? Because we're not just talking about just play, just go out and play with no structure.
So, Bridget, I must say that the idea of positive play is play that is child-directed, play that is safe, and that's play that is invested in the child exploring their curiosities. The other thing about it is that the outcomes of it are associated with positive childhood development and well-being, and that's why we have phrased it positive play. And so with the Saskosia Susanna campaign that says play better, to drive that message that children should have safe spaces to play freely, and spur on their development through play.
Do we understand as communities raising children, whether one has children or not, inevitably you are an aunt to children or an uncle to children, but you have children somewhere orbiting in your life. Do we understand the importance and the impact of positive play and what that means to a child's mental and overall development?
I think we underestimate the importance of playing. We really do as grown-ups, yet some of us have benefited mightily from playing, and some of it has just kind of come intuitively, because who teaches a child to play? Nobody tells a child how to play. Even from infancy, children figure out ways to delight themselves in the world that they find themselves in. And so whether it's organized play in sports and things of that nature, games like chess, to just free play or imaginative play where children play out things that they see in the world, like house, or driver, or whatever children do. All those things are very useful to the physical, social, and emotional, and as well as cognitive development of the child.
And what are some of the benefits? What are some of the tangible development benefits that parents can hinge the argument on to say, oh, okay, it ticks A, B, C, D, and E in these ways?
Yes, so physical play, like on the jungle gym, running, skipping, riding bicycles, are associated with good physical health in children, their agility, stamina, coordination, and balance. Children who play, do physical games, are found to have physical benefits to their body and stature. And then there's the developing of social skills through play. Children learn to negotiate in the playground. They learn to explore their feelings, to express themselves, and to work out emotional aspects of life with their peers in the playground. And so, of course, things like confidence, self-esteem, their resilience and ability to interact with others are developed through that. But interesting research has also shown the cognitive benefits of children playing. So these benefits are even seen in the classroom, things like mathematical reasoning skills, language development, so numeracy and literacy, that children who play develop crucial brain structures and neural functioning that forms the building blocks that are central to optimal thinking and reasoning skills in their young age. So there's the stuff that you can see, so the physical outcomes of play, and the stuff that we psychologists and maybe teachers and occupational therapists will notice about children who play.
Let's also talk, Sinovuyo, I allude to also just boy children, right? We've had a lot of conversation around we need to focus some of our attention equally so on the development of boy children. Now, do they have unique, nuanced developmental needs that perhaps can be met by the quality of positive play?
Sure. Certainly, I think, of course, the foundational makings of what will later become traces of masculinity, and also helping our young boys develop resources and a resilience to some of the pulls of the social ills that we find in our country and in our communities. I really want to say that through this Play Better campaign, as well as the work of supporting children, the thinking is that boy children do have specific needs around maneuvering and negotiating their boyness and their masculinity as they grow. And so these same skills that I'm speaking about around resilience, confidence, social skills, and the curiosity and coping with challenging situations are certainly aspects of the benefits of playing and playing in safe environments and environments that spur those parts of themselves on. So the psychological well-being of a boy child in South Africa really does need to be thought of in a very specific way because of what we know about some of the challenges that they face in our communities.
Absolutely. Now, how do we also just foster some kind of mental wellness, particularly in younger children? And those who, unlike the adolescent siblings or the teenage siblings who can vocalize maybe where they are psychologically, mentally, with the right kind of environment and encouragement. Younger children, maybe at times, I don't know. I stand to be corrected. So as I said it, and then I thought, well, younger children are also a little bit more expressive and a little bit more forthright with what they're feeling at a particular time, and maybe that holds them at an advantage, maybe even than older children in their ability to just share of their mental state and what they're feeling.
Sure. So the thing about it, Bridget, is that the profession of psychology and psychotherapists, we have appropriated child-directed play as a useful method for exploring the internal
Oh, Sinovia, we're just having a little bit of a technical glitch. Let's try again. We're just trying to just sort that out. We just got some weird last-minute gremlins. It happens sometimes in the connection. Things scramble over mobile cellular networks and scramble out the audio. Have we lost Sinovia in our last moments? Oh, okay. We've lost her in the last moments. And looking at the time, we are about to get into the headline news. But also, you might have gotten the gist of exactly what she was saying to us in conversation today. Our lines are open, though, on 086 000 2032. Is the studio number that you can call us on. And of course, 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note, you are more than welcome to do so. And the question on the table for you is, as you entered parenting and became a parent, what is the one thing that you were not aware of? Or perhaps the one thing that took you by surprise? We're just having a casual family meeting between you and I, sharing our most interpersonal moments. And feel free to share. You know, this is a place of non-judgment. We're not going to judge you. So if you were feeling perhaps a little bit disarmed by a particular aspect of parenthood that you felt that the generations before you should have shared in the household, or the generation of parents before you in community should have shared, it would have been nice to know that, right? It would have been nice to know. We'd love to know what that is from your perspective. As we wrap it up, in our final 30 seconds or so, we've got Sinovia back just to wrap up their thought for us. Yes, let's have you back by way of sharing their mental wellness.
Yes, I was just saying, Bridget, that we in the world of psychology, we find that play is a very important way of children expressing themselves, and so we want to urge parents to involve themselves in children's play in order to, get an insight into what's happening in their children's lives and hopefully spur on this positive psycho-emotional health in their children's life across the lifespan.
Absolutely. Sinovia Arose, thank you so much for sharing your expertise in this particular field. And Sinovia is an educational psychologist, of course, and I hope you walked away as a parent better understanding the importance of positive play in your children's mental and overall development. It's just gone at 1:30, and Musa is standing by with the headline news.
Thank you, Bridget. News headlines at 1:30 on SAFM. I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good day. The Save South Africa Civic Movement has expressed disappointment and criticized the recent cabinet appointments and ministry changes announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The headquarters of the Giani municipality in Limpopo are on fire. Municipal spokesperson Stephen Mabunda says the firefighters are at the scene extinguishing the blaze. And the new president of Panama, Jose Raul Molino, has promised to address mass migration. He says his country would cease to be a transit route for thousands of people who cross its territory every month. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
It's just gone 1:30. Ondela, my apologies, sweetheart. My apologies for that. Ondela is bringing you the news for the remainder of the afternoon on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. So I want to know, because when you sit in a room with parents and you realize just when people say you can never be prepared to be a parent, I think that is a real thing, right? You sit in a room with parents and you hear them share all these stories, and you see on social media and they share all these stories. You guys are going through a lot. You really kuningi, there in parenthood, very much so. And so I wondered, for our family meeting this afternoon, what is it that you were surprised about, or what is it that took you off guard when you became a parent? Maybe even at a different stage of parenting your children at different ages. There were different things that just you were like, clutch my pearls, kantini nje. 086 000 2032 and 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's go to WhatsApp and then we'll come to Simpiwe.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hi, my name is Tegofatso Sioka, and the one thing I wish I knew before I became a parent is the need for both a maternal as well as a paternal parent within the child's life. There is so much that a young child needs, and having both the paternal as well as the maternal really assists the child in balancing out some of their needs, their personalities, and support in what they go through. This a support system of a primary caregiver is something that is extremely critical, as well as having varied viewpoints within the support system. It's very critical for raising a child, either a girl or a boy. Thank you.
Hi, Bridget. Oh, what a topic. Thank you so much. I have an 18-year-old that was such a breeze to parent. My daughter's very calm and very, respectful. Like, I'm truly blessed to have her. Then I have a 11-year-old boy that was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 4. I'm telling you, they're going up and down to the doctors, hospitals, sleeping there 3 days a week, for almost like 3 or 4 times in a year. The first few years, I was just doing that. I was just up and down, taking leave, family responsibility, being exhausted, going to hospital. When he has seizures, he has to be admitted. That takes a lot of strain, a lot of energy, emotionally, physically, spiritually, So as much as it is a challenge, though, I think I've grown so much out of that. I think I'm a stronger parent. I'm a wiser parent. And I don't think anybody could have warned me, though, that, there's something like that comes with parenting as well, because it's not like the usual, But I just thank God for the strength and the grace to be able to manage. He couldn't have chosen a better man. I'm the perfect mom for all of this. Thank you.
Hello, Bridget. This is Matlatsi from Pretoria. I wish I did not listen to my parents when they pressured me into having babies, because the clock was ticking. I was around 30 something, no kids, and they said, "You are late, you better do it now." Now, I'm struggling as a single parent, and they are nowhere in sight. They're not there.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
Oh, Mutlatsi, that kind of hit a little spot in my heart even, right? I mean, on the one hand, the blessing of being able to have your children, or if it's just one child, to have your child and be able to grow up together and still connect. But I definitely understand when you say that as a single parent, it's a lot. The caller before that, raising the 18-year-old daughter and the 11-year-old son who's been diagnosed with epilepsy. I love the fact that you've taken it in your stride. I can imagine the sleepless nights in the hospital, the back and forth, especially at the tender age of 4. But you've taken it in your stride, and you've said that your child couldn't have chosen a better mom. Oh, I love that. I really do. I really, really do. We wish all of you guys the best. We have Kate in PMB. Kate to say, children's, the cost of education, truly. Everyone considering having a baby should do the projected mathematics. It's very scary. And that was Kate in PMB. Kate, I've got a tip around that, by the way. I've thrown it out here from time to time when we have financial shows. I'll double back to it. Simpiwe out in Midrand. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bridget?
I'm great, thank you. I love how it's the moms that are busy today.
We are going through it, okay?
What are you going through, Simpiwe?
Oh, my God. I've got a 5-year-old boy, and the self-introspection that he makes me go through.
Oh.
He's Yes, he's very confrontational, but he's also got good timing. So when everything is heated, you reprimand, you keep quiet. But he waits for that moment when you get into bed and it's quiet and you say, Mama, I did not like what you said.
Oh.
He's like, I did not like what you said. And when you were talking to me, you were shouting it. I did not like. I'm telling you, that moment, Bridget, you can't even retaliate as a parent because just that moment, the guilt hits you and end up apologizing, but they were still wrong.
But as you should, Mom, because yes, I'm wrong, but your tone, lady.
But your tone, yes. They will confront you. Even next time when you think about it, you're like, okay, let me be a better parent. Let me gentle parent again.
I love it. Sipiwe, thank you for sharing. It's Angie's children, and Angie said, you must bring them back to her. She'll gladly take them. Remember when they passed that legislation? There was a children's protective legislation that was passed in recent years, and parents on social media were like, you're giving these children way too many rights. And she's like, hey, my children, bring them back. And moms and dads were threatening to drop off the children at Parliament and in Pretoria. Anonymous, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So you are parenting your siblings?
Yes, I'm a 23-year-old, which my mother passed on around Easter this year.
Oh, no, condolences.
So I'm taking care of my two siblings.
How old are they?
The 12-year-old is the older one, living with autism. And I've also got a 5-year-old, which I'm taking care of. And so I'm trying to be a parent and also be a boy on it because I'm still young. I still have to live life, and families are not being there especially for us. So for me, it's when you talk about mental health, for me, it's something that bothers me all the time. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and cry when there's no food in the house.
Oh, askies.
Because, when you go to family, they'll say, so, as a young person, Harry, and when I go to them, you even ask, you're scared of asking your own family for help, for bread. Like, when you talked about this thing of, this thing of, pressure and stuff like mental health, I said like basically mom is talking to me because it is exactly what I'm going through. Last night we went to bed without anything to eat, and I cried and said, I'm a father, I'm failing my own siblings.
Askies, Anonymous.
So it's very painful. And the one brother who's living with autism, who follows me, he's the one who's 12 years old. He likes athletics and he likes to walk. He used to join a walking team, but now, they're up and down, went to hospital and stuff with no finance. So I told him not to go anymore.
Askies, Anonymous.
No, you cannot go.
Askies, Anonymous. It's so difficult to find words to comfort in this situation, but you are the better human being for rising up to the challenge of raising your siblings, right? Not everybody who finds themselves in this situation where their parents have now passed and they have to assume the role of parenting will elect to assume it. So you're a better human being for rising up to assume the role of parenting. And though it's hard now, I'm sure there's going to be reward somewhere along the journey. There's going to be reward somewhere along the journey. Just as long as you and your siblings just hold on tight to each other and keep loving each other. We pray that things fall into place for you guys. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. We continue this family meeting, so you can keep sharing your voice notes with us. You were more than happy to do so. What is it about parenting that surprised you, that took you, you weren't quite aware, and then boom, you were like, hi, bo, being a parent, this is what happens. Feel free to send through those voice notes. We're going to jump into stages, pages, but the voice notes still continue. Let's play one more, and then we'll come back and get into stages, pages, screens, and more.
Hi, Bridget. Good afternoon. This is not my own experience, but my wife's experience with our now 15-year-old son. So, just like the previous caller, he would not confront you immediately. But there's these instances in the morning when she wakes him to go to school and she's shouting. And he will calmly look at her and say, "But why are you shouting? Just be gentle. Wake me up gently. I'll wake up. I hear you. You don't need to shout." And by that moment, then she will be disarmed. I loved it. Kanyane in Middleburg.
Stages, pages, screens, and more on the Full Circle.
Daniela, I know you just loved it because you were secretly going, sure. Uhlala uthi nganyam phela le, nganyam. Look at your nganyam now. I know dads bazokujikela in a heartbeat. Stages, pages, screens, and more. Esther LaRue is joining us now, and Esther is the curator at Oliver Hayes Art Museum. And we're talking about this exhibition that is happening, Art Lovers in Bloemfontein. You can come through and view 3 exhibitions currently on show at the Oliver Hayes Art Museum. How are you doing this afternoon, Esther?
Very well, thank you, Bridget.
Thank you for the time. So let's talk about the 3 exhibitions that are showcasing at the museum right now, and they're running concurrently, yeah?
Yes, they all 3 are opening tonight at the Lebanese Art Museum. The first one we've got on the ground floor of the main building is the Learning Through Art exhibition, where we turn the art museum into a classroom and we showcase artworks from the grade 11 and 12 visual arts curriculum. That's been curated from our permanent collection.
Okay, so that is one of them, and then the other 2.
The other one we've got is Invictus, the Spirit of Democracy, which is showing in the Reservoir, which is a very special exhibition space. And that is a selection of artworks from the Art Bank of South Africa that is hosted at the Lebanese Art Museum. It's a very exciting collection of mostly young, upcoming contemporary artists. So it's very vibrant and new, fresh.
Yeah. And just by way, I just want to sort of get an understanding of them 3, and then we'll double back to them. And then the 3rd exhibition, you say that this one draws inspiration from a poem from 1875.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the title comes from a poem by William Ernest Henley, where he spoke about democracy and Invictus, the spirit of Invictus, the spirit, a good spirit of freedom.
Interesting. Now, let's double back to, I'm particularly interested in the exhibition showcasing younger artists, the grade 10s to grade 12s. How did that collection come together, that's showcasing at the Learning Through Art exhibition?
The Learning Through Art exhibition is curated from the visual arts curriculum for grade 11 and 12. So themes and artworks from the textbooks are actually exhibited in real life for learners to come and see it. So they're not only seeing it in theory, in the history of art classes in a textbook. They can actually come to the museum and see the actual artworks by South African artists.
Oh, I see. Very interesting. Yeah. All right. Very, very interesting. And then, of course, these 3 exhibitions are also featuring, as you say, artworks from Art Bank SA. Talk to us about, the collection that you've borrowed from Art Bank and what that entails.
We work closely together with Art Bank SA because they also sort of a satellite of the Department of the National Museum Bloemfontein, and they offices on the premises as well. So they've got a huge collection that they've been collecting for the past 5-6 years, with the intent to resell some of the artworks and also lease some of the artworks. And the selection in the reservoir is just a small selection of some of their works. To showcase some of their works in the collection.
Are there any artists that we should be looking out for? Because I know that you also have one, Kutlwano Monyai, who's debuting a solo exhibition.
Yes. I'm saving the best for last. She's young, also quite a young artist. Like I said, Kutlana Munyai, and she's exhibiting Le Filet Buketlu, A Place of Rest. And she uses everyday items mostly used by women and some from the kitchen and from the home to speak about, what she learned from her maternal lineage, about women, about labor. And the amazing thing that she does, she crochets plastic to create these beautiful sculptural crocheted pieces from plastic. And it's also very labor intensive, also reflecting the hard work women do in society.
Listen, it sounds like an interesting exhibition, definitely. And also focus very much on artistic development from the perspective of bringing young art scholars into the space so that they can interact with works, outside of just the pages of art history books, which is a beautiful thing to see. So it's running concurrently, and you said it's opening today with the 3 exhibitions as a part of the Freystart Arts Festival, and it's running until when?
There's different dates. But all of them into August, and Kutwanu's solo exhibition is until 8 September. So there is still a bit of time to see it, but you might want to come, more than once, because there's a lot to see and to experience and to enjoy.
Yeah. Do you have an itinerary online by way of walkabouts and maybe any talks that might be scheduled between now and end of exhibition that people can keep an eye on? If so, what are the digital platforms?
Yes. You can go to the Freystart Arts Festival program and look at the program for visual arts. All the exhibitions in Bloemfontein currently showing is on there where they're showing all the information you need. You're also welcome to visit our website, nasmus.co.za, or follow Lebanese Art Museum on the social media pages.
Thank you so much, Esther. That was Esther LaRue, who's the curator at Oliver Hayes Art Museum. And as you heard, all art lovers in Bloemfontein, the Freystart Arts Festival is on now with those 3 respective exhibitions. We've got time to sneak in just one little voice note before we get into Kids Corner. But 0614104107, our WhatsApp is still open. I'd love to hear the things you did not know about parenting, the good, the bad, the funny, the embarrassing, the ugly, that you wish somebody could have told you about or warned you about before you got into this whole thing of being called mom and dad.
Good day, this is Bridget. I'm from Neisner, great show as always. Yeah, I'm probably going to be labeled as, that's all that men think about. But it's not true. I think there's women out there that will agree with me that spending specific quality time with your partner is good for your relationship. I wish they would have strictly warned me about after having children you must plan these specific events with your partner. Otherwise, it might just it might not work out as you wish it would. So it's better to plan plan ahead.
I get exactly what she's talking about. I think every parent gets exactly, and I love the decorum around how you were calculating your words and your phrasing. 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's go to Kids Corner.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
My name is Amala Zamiana, and today I will be talking about the importance of respecting table manners. Prefer dinner settings, eating together with a family at home. Importance of table manners. They have to show respect to each other and help create a positive atmosphere during meals. 2 important table manners: saying please and saying thank you, and keeping your hand clean and visible on the table. Following table manners outside of home. Yes, it's important to show good manners everywhere, even at school or your friend's house. I hope you guys learned something new today. See you next time. Bye.
Hi, my name is Daniel Code. I personally prefer eating alone. Table manners are very important to me. 2 most important table manners I follow every time without fail are keeping my elbows off the table and chewing with my mouth closed. I follow these table manners everywhere, even when I'm not at home. Following table manners as children is important, as it helps instill respect, consideration, and social skills from a young age. It teaches children how to behave appropriately in social settings, showing respect for others and getting good manners that will benefit them in various social situations throughout their lives. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ndamurero. My surname is Nimtangwe. I'm 10 years old and I'm in grade 5. I like eating dinner together because it's fun to share meals with family. Table manners are important because they show respect and make meals nice for everyone. I always chew with my mouth closed and say please and thank you. I follow these manners even when I am not at home. Following table manners helps us show respect and makes eating together enjoyable.
Hello everybody, my name is Tulufela Mring. I prefer eating dinner with everyone at the table because I feel that's more fun, I'd say, and also it's very good to eat with your family, to be together instead of being on our cell phone devices and all of that. Catch up on each other, talk to each other, socialize, and also get to spend some time together as a family, because you never know when you can lose your loved ones. Table manners are very important to me, and I'm very glad that my parents taught me that from a very young age. 2 of the most important table manners for me are: you should eat with your mouth closed and don't talk while you're eating, because I find that very disgusting. I follow table manners everywhere I go, even when I'm eating in public at a restaurant, because I don't want to embarrass myself or my parents when out in public.
My name is Valentine. I prefer eating dinner together with everyone at home. Yes, table manners are important to me. The 2 most important table manners, in my opinion, are not talking with your mouth full and saying please and thank you. Yes, I do follow these table manners without fail. I also follow these table manners even when I'm not home. I say the importance of following table manners as children is to show that we have manners and that we are respectful.
My name and surname is Piogishem Pembe. Yes, there are table manners that I have to learn at home. We are not supposed to chew with our mouth open. We cannot walk around eating and messing up. We are supposed to sit by the table until we are done eating. Yes, table manners are important for children to learn. Nobody should feel embarrassed in public with people looking at them strangely because you are eating improper. I practice table manners at school or at restaurants when I am out with my family. Thank you.
Good day, parents. My name is Kapiamba. My surname is Dainabo. Yes, there are table manners that I have been taught at home. To chew with your mouth closed and to switch off your phone at the table. Yes, I do think it's important because children need to learn to respect people when they're eating. I also practice table manners at school. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Kabamba. The table manners I have are from my home. The manners which are important in my family is that we should never talk with our mouth full or eat with our phones in our hands. I do think table manners are important for children because it showcases the respect you have for yourself and others. I also practice my table manners at school or when I'm eating out.
Hello friends!
Today, let's talk about table manners, which is something we all need to pay attention to. Table manners are the polite ways you behave yourself while eating at the table, and they help make mealtime pleasant for everyone. When we follow table manners, it shows that we care about people we are eating with. For example, saying please and thank you when someone passes you food is a simple but important part of good manners. Another important table manner is to chew food with your mouth closed. This helps keep the table clean and prevents others from seeing food in your mouth, which could be annoying and disturbing. It is also polite to wait until everyone is served before starting to eat. This shows respect for others and makes sure no one feels left out. Table manners also include being kind and helpful to those around you. If someone needs salt or the bread, passing it to them with a smile can make the meal more enjoyable. It's also polite to keep your elbows off the table and sit up straight. This helps you stay focused on the meal and shows that you are paying attention. Now, using utensils properly is another key part of table manners. Forks, knives, and spoons are tools that help you eat neatly and easily. Holding them correctly and using them to cut or pick up food without making a mess shows that you are careful and considerate. It also helps you eat in a way that is easy for others to watch. Table manners are all about respect. Respecting the food, the people you are eating with, and the place where you're eating makes mealtime a happy time for everyone. By respecting and following all these simple rules even when you're away from your parents, you show that you care about others and that you can be trusted to behave politely in any situation.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.1 FM in Johannesburg.
Top stories at 2. Save SA criticizes the new cabinet appointments and a call for the new police minister to deal with police killings. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. The Save South Africa civic movement has expressed disappointment and criticized the recent cabinet appointments and ministry changes announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The movement says the alliance between the ANC and DA's, the 7th administration, is the worst in South Africa's democratic history. They described the alliance to a fake marriage which prioritizes the interest of white monopoly capital over the needs of citizens. Sydney Monagotla is the president of Save South Africa Civic Movement.
As a movement, we view this marriage as an insult to the citizens of this country. We believe that the people have expressed their views during elections and the subsequent inauguration of the president. We know that even the DA didn't support Ramaphosa because they believe that he is the most competent person in the country to lead our government. As for the announcement or the government of national unity, as a movement, we believe that it undermines the constitution of the country. The constitution is very clear that the president is the one who appoints ministers.
The headquarters of the Giyani municipality in Limpopo are on fire. Municipal spokesperson Stephen Mabunda says the firefighters are at the scene extinguishing the blaze. Mabunda says no injuries have been reported.
We confirm that the section of the municipal building caught fire this morning. As we speak now, firefighters are on the ground to try and fight off the fire. The fire is under control. We, however, are not able to speculate as to what the cause is, but we believe that investigations into that to determine the cause will ensue immediately after everything has been settled down.
The Police and Prisons Civil Rights Union, POPCRU, says that the newly appointed Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, should prioritize dealing with police killings. The union says that the number of police officers being killed in the line of duty seems to be growing steadily on an annual basis without any intervention. POPCRU made the plea following Mchunu's appointment on Sunday evening by President Cyril Ramaphosa, who announced his cabinet. POPCRU spokesperson is Richard Mamabolo.
We've had a number of cases reported on an annual basis, and the number seems to be growing without any form of intervention or a plan from the SAPS. And by the way, this dates to some few years ago, because we've been having meetings with the operational people who are commissioners about developing a plan, and up to so far not much has been done. So we've even had a policing endeavor just last year, wherein we engaged with different stakeholders, and part of the outcomes of that was that we need to obviously have legislative amendments made to ensure that police killings become considered as treasonous.
More than 3 million rand has been forfeited to the state following the arrest of a Pakistani national in October in 2023. Idris Aziz was arrested at the King Shaka International Airport after he failed to declare this amount on his way to Dubai. It's believed that he had concealed this amount in US dollars on his body. Hawk spokesperson in KwaZulu-Natal, Simpiwe Mhlongo, says Aziz allegedly failed to declare this amount to SARS and Customs at the airport.
We can confirm that an amount of more than 3 million rand that was seized at King Shaka International Airport during the arrest of the accused Aziz has been deposited to the criminal asset recovery account on Friday. This man was arrested at King Shaka, where he was about to board a flight to Dubai. It was discovered that he concealed $180 in his body. He refused to be searched up until the police were called. He was then searched. This man was found and seized.
In news further afield, the new president of Panama, Jose Raul Molino, has promised to address mass migration. He says his country would cease to be a transit route for thousands of people who cross its territory every month. During his campaign, he's promised to close the Darien Gap, a dangerous stretch of jungle that forms a natural border between South and Central America. In his inauguration speech, Molino said he would seek a common solution with other countries.
Today, the number of migrants passing through the Darien Gap is staggering. Plus, international criminals use this region as their operations base. I'm appealing for international solidarity on this matter, and I will seek solutions with the concerned countries, especially the United States, as it's the final destination of migrants.
Recapping the top story, Save SA has criticized the new cabinet appointments. I am Ondelambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 2:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
It is the late great Tu Masigela with Nomali. That is how we're entering the second hour of the show, making our streaming crew very happy here because they're of the generation. I could hear the excitement all the way through the windows and the screens that divide my studio from their studio, living their best glory days. That is how we like to do it on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM. Joining me now in conversation, we've got Mpopi Kupe, who is the CEO of Zivoli, and we're talking around the Kula Sizwe Sikule Kaya Landlords Program, which is determined to assist and empower title deed holders and landlords in Soweto to improve their properties. How are you doing, Mpopi?
Good, thanks. How are you doing, Bridget?
I'm great, thank you. Okay, let's get some background context on the Kula Sizwe Sikule Ekhaya Landlords Program, and also just a refresher of the work that you guys do at Zivoli.
Sure. So let me start with our work. So Zivoli Growth Partners is in the SME capacity building space. However, we work almost exclusively with early stage, early growth businesses. Just from a revenue range perspective, these are probably less than 3 years old, probably making less than 5 million rand turnover. But they are rural, peri-urban and township high potential businesses that we believe would benefit from formality in order for them to scale. And that's how we got involved with the Kula Sizwe program, which was really saying, look, there are a lot of title deed property owners in townships, particularly Soweto, which is the township in which we started working with the client on the program. And our hypothesis was there has to be a way that we can provide support and capacity building in the interest of formalizing them to a point where they could either access a different market or benefit from the formality of their business in terms of attracting a different profile of tenants. And so the interventions in the program are geared towards that. So one, if you haven't registered a business, let's help you do that.
Yeah.
But also let's help you get your compliance and your operations in order so that you can start to attract a different, either a higher revenue stream or a different revenue stream.
Yeah. And let's talk about just this because it speaks to the property sector within the Soweto community, right? And I don't know if I'm correct or incorrect. I stand to be corrected. Would the domestic property rental sector in Soweto specifically be considered to be more informal in nature?
So there are pockets of it that are, but the pockets that we were going for were, we know that there was a time where a lot of people were moving out of township into suburbs. And over that period, for different reasons, people are now moving out of the suburbs into the townships. And COVID, of course, was a big stimulator of that. But it was almost the accommodation options. There wasn't enough stock of a certain level of type of accommodation. And so that's what we were solving for. So not so much your entry-level, less formal kind of assets, but the ones that would be catering for the audience that typically were moving out of the suburb back into the township, or those that wanted to stay in the township but had different and evolving needs. One, because of COVID, you would have needed more stable Wi-Fi, more stable electricity, etc., etc. So that's the segment that we were focusing on.
All right. And is there a huge uptake of that particular sort of higher ranged, higher leveled segment, clientele, and obviously owners?
Yes, absolutely. So from an owner's perspective, it's incredible how many young property owners, firstly, there are title deed holders there are in Soweto that are from Soweto, want to stay in Soweto, but really want to introduce a different type of property option to the market. And then, as I said, on the flip side, there are equally young people that are looking for places that they can live in Soweto. I don't necessarily want to leave, but I have evolving needs. And because of those evolving needs, where I need to stay and be able to work from needs to look a little bit different. So there's good supply and there's good demand. But what we're finding is because of the type of property that, in this case, the title deed owner held, they were struggling with certain things. So I'm not necessarily raising the capital that I need at the pace that I need, and I'm not accessing the support that I require, whether it's mentorship, training, compliance, systems, and processes at the pace that I need in order for me to introduce the kind of property that's going to meet the demand that I'm seeing. And that's really the problem that this program was seeking to solve.
I see. And now let's double down on those interventions. Then, what does the program sort of present to title deed owners to help them bridge those gaps?
So we found that a lot of the title deed owners were almost running this as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even have a registered company. The money was literally coming into my pocket. And that's honestly how I was running the business. What the program has helped me do is to validate the business case. And so that set me on a journey. The first thing typically is to register it as a separate entity and to then receive the skills, the knowledge, and the expertise. So I now understand legal, marketing, finance, HR, of how to run this thing as a business. What we also did is we paired the now SMEs, because they were required to register the business, with a subject matter expert mentor. So somebody in the property business who is going to help them understand the property industry and how to sweat the assets that they have optimally operating in the business. Another big thing was compliance. You want to start to have tenants, but your property is actually not compliant.
Yeah.
Whether it's any form of certificate of compliance, which was important for us to make them more compliant. The other critical thing was enhancements of the infrastructure. Sometimes you just need a simple thing like security gate, a remote gate, and then or you need alternative sources of power, or you need stable Wi-Fi. Some of the entrepreneurs we found were running restaurants, but they didn't have ablution facilities. So we really met their infrastructure enhancement requirements for the type of business that they were looking to. Well, they had already started, but were looking to improve in order to either increase the clients that they were receiving, in the case of a restaurant, or the profile of tenants that they could attract. So we capacitated the individual, the entrepreneur, with skills and knowledge to run the business optimally, but we also made sure that the business itself, from an infrastructure perspective, is actually appealing to their target audience appropriately.
Yeah, and I think for me that was what you've just said around matters of compliance, infrastructure enhancement, etc., which I think probably fall into the validating of your business case, speaks to the informalness that I was making reference to, right? Like it's not really structured per se, like a business in the essence that a business should be structured with all the checks and balances.
Correct. Because, we found the bulk of the individuals, as I said, were running it as a side hustle. So they weren't even treating it like a business. They weren't validating the business case. They weren't making the investment, in inverted commas, that they needed to make into the business in order for them to sweat it optimally.
Yeah.
It was a case of, I have this property. I probably inherited it, and it generates me enough income to augment my salary.
Yeah.
And it's sufficient from that perspective. What we've observed is some of the entrepreneurs have actually gone on to make this a full-time hustle, which for us is really the mentality and the attitude that we wanted them to have around this asset that they have, and how to identify ways to optimally sweat it.
Yeah. And when one thinks, Mpopi, of just, sort of the property sector within our respective hoods, whether you're looking at Soweto, pick a hood in South Africa, right? We tend to have that a booming property sector, landlords and tenants, Vulama Rumus, Extender, we do all the rest of it. And you find sometimes people have accumulated quite the lovely property portfolio, but still very much running it very casually and loosely without any of this forethinking of it as a business. And I wonder what then becomes the conversation in those particular instances where someone does have quite a number of properties in their respective hood, but it's still not structured in a way where they can optimize and maximize on it as a business.
Yes. I mean, that's probably true of a lot of the title deed owners that we're targeting. And I think it's because I haven't studied this industry. I didn't get into this industry by design. I either inherited it or I just had this asset and I wanted to sweat it. And so one of the things that's at the cornerstone of this program is teaching the program participants about the property industry. What is this industry?
We've just lost connection there to Mpopi. We're going to try and get her back on the line as we have this conversation around their program, the Khula Sizwe Sikhule Khaya Landlords Program that is being put together and, of course, run by Zivoli Growth Partners, who do some really cool work in helping businesses structure and scale up in the rural and peri-urban areas. And this particular program focused on the...
Did we get cut off? Oh, dear.
No, it's okay. We are back on air. Yes. As you were saying about those who've got quite the healthy property portfolio, but it's not quite structured as a structured, formalized business entity.
Yeah, so for us, we found, property... The knowledge of property industry as an industry is important. And so that's the foundation that we laid. Because I have a property, it doesn't mean that I understand the property industry. And so we took a lot of time and effort in just educating the participants about the industry. And what was very telling for us is the instances where one changed their mind about what it is that they had been doing with the property up until that point, because now they understand that there are other ways that they can navigate it. For us, it's almost like asset classes. We talk about investing our money, but there are so many different places where you can invest your money, and a lot of people would have their money in a bank account, which is probably the place where you're going to get the least return. We look at property the same way. Let us teach you about other ways that you could be sweating this asset optimally, and by giving you the knowledge and understanding about the industry in itself, so that the choices that you make around navigating it start to be challenged, interrogated, and improved.
Absolutely. Now, we spoke and touched on this. Obviously, the program for now is focused on those in Soweto. A lot of people right now going, "Hi, Mpopi." Like, let's expand. But why did y'all start in Soweto specifically with this one?
Because the first year was really a proof of concept. We led with a hypothesis around the benefit of formality in improving the sophistication of the business, but also the ability to access a different revenue stream. And so we didn't want to go live with the program in multiple areas because we really wanted to prove the business case. And so that was a big thing about the first year, which was last year. What we've now done is we've refined the program offering. So somebody will ask, okay, now you've proved the business case, why are you still only focusing on Soweto? It's because we had a number of elements in the program that we needed to draw learnings from. In the second year, we've dropped some of those and enhanced others. And so we've chosen to still keep it in Soweto so that we can execute the now refined program. Once we are comfortable that we've mastered the proposition in terms of the elements we deploy for the benefit of the participants, it's at that point that we will look at scaling. What we don't want to do is to start to go to multiple areas without a solid proposition where we have taken learnings and refined it and improved it, and we're now comfortable to scale it.
I mean, listen, it makes sense, especially because you're in the business of scaling. So it best be reflective also in the work that you guys do. So for anybody that is in Soweto, and they are a title deed holder or a landlord, and of course this program is intriguing them, what do they need to have in place?
So the most important thing is indeed the title deed. The second most important thing is clarity on what it is that you want to do with your property. And not because we're married to the idea, but it's important to us that we're backing the right jockey who is going to be the right candidate for the program. And then our other requirements are almost compliance related, but the intention is not for them to be prohibitive in nature, but for us to just make sure that you've got the basics in place. So if you're interested in applying, I would encourage you to visit our social media pages and follow the link that's available on there for you to submit your application. And if there's anything that you don't have that we've listed as a requirement, my preference would be for you to engage with us so that we can see how we can solve for that.
Okay. All righty. And do I also need to have tenants in place already? I mean, can I just have an empty property with a vision of becoming a landlord?
So an empty property for which you have ideally had some sort of activity that was income generating. It may be that it's empty now for a different reason, which is fine, but we would like for you to have ventured into that industry, into that space, offering that proposition before.
All right. I mean, it makes sense, right? So we can learn from past experience and tighten what we need to tighten and hone in on what needs to be honed in. Always, I think you leave us with quite a bit to ponder on. I like this. I like this a lot because, as we said, there are a lot of folks who are essentially landlords. They are essentially playing in the property space as landlords. They want to be developers even, and they want to keep it in our communities and townships. And maybe they just don't have all the considerations that come with it. And so they've not been able to scale up or maybe reimagine what it might look like in the future.
Yes, absolutely. I think for us, that's what it is. We would like more people to enter the space because the hardest thing to have is the land on which to develop. If you've got that, and we can play a role in helping you enter the industry or grow in the industry, that's really our intention because this is one of the best vehicles with which to create generational wealth.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's really important to the client that they contribute actively to the achievement of that.
Absolutely. Mpopi Coupe, as always, it's a pleasure. Mpopi is the CEO of Zivoli Growth Partners, an interesting offering here. It's fast approaching 2:30 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. By the way, in our last few moments, if you are just joining us, we were talking earlier on about the things that surprised people when they became parents, the things that they didn't know, the good, bad, and the ugly, the things that they wish they'd known. And we had quite the chuckle and a few cries as well with some respective parents. 0614104107 is our WhatsApp number. We'd love to know from you if you're just jumping into the car now and you happen to be a parent, or maybe you parented somewhere down the line and you're done parenting now, but you were surprised in your journey about, geez, I wish someone could have told me this. We've had everything from, being told how they didn't realize that being a parent meant that there was no quality time between mom and dad. And you kind of have to try and figure it out. How are you going to slot it all in? How are you going to manage to get the romance going amidst all the ears and the little feet that are running around in the household and the potential of doors being opened, to some really interesting clapback moments by 5-year-olds checking their parents, essentially saying, you will not speak to me like that today. So we'd love to know your stories on 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. Ondela is standing by with the headline news.
Thank you, Bridget. News headlines at 2:30 on SAFM. I am Ondela and a very good day. The Public Protector has found that C-Squid, the events company appointed as a service provider for the funeral of the late Free State Education MEC Tate Mahwe, was appointed without following the corrective bidding process and that the costs incurred were unreasonable. The Save South Africa Civic Movement has expressed disappointment and criticized the recent cabinet appointments and ministry changes announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa. And the new government of the Netherlands has been sworn in by King Willem-Alexander almost a year after the previous one collapsed. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
We are in the final stretch of the show, the last half an hour this afternoon. And of course, our lines are open. 0614104107. That's our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note. I'm quite eager to hear, as our family meeting continues, to hear about your tales of being a parent and some of the things that had you clutching for pearls. We've had all kinds of shares earlier on in the show from parents sharing that they didn't quite realize how expensive it is to raise children. When people say children are expensive, they literally meant that children are expensive, to all kinds of other shares. And this segues us into our conversation with Musa Nxumalo, who's with Imbewu Financials, as we talk about head of retail at Imbewu, as we talk around July being savings month and beginning your savings journey. How are you doing, Musa?
I'm good. How are you? How are you, Bridget, today?
I'm great. I mean, let's start there, sort of connecting the dots of our family meeting around the things people wish they knew about being parents and parenting. And some of the messages that we got were, listen, nobody told me that this is such an expensive exercise.
Yeah, very true, very true. So I think actually for us, I think as a nation, savings is something that's very, very difficult for a lot of people. And take into consideration all the things that are happening in the markets with the interest rates and all the inflation coming into play. And also another thing, I think savings is a skill we need to master from a very, very young age. Just like that, with parents coming in, is that someone needs to tell you that kids are kind of expensive to bring onto earth and everything. So I think that's where conversation starts there, is that education around finances.
Absolutely. And as you say, savings is a skill that must be mastered, but it's also not something that money is not a conversation that is had openly and freely in most households because it's so contentious, even between couples. It's not a subject that, is easily just discussed. And I would figure that if you say that savings is something we must master from a young age, it goes in tandem with our ability to be able to talk around money and issues of money.
No, that's very, very true. Because I think also what you raise is a very, very perfect point, is that even as couples don't really talk about finances because a lot of them aren't so open about it. But if you look at it properly, it has to do with the factor of, I'm afraid of showcase how much I have because I might not have enough. That's where you say that. And also it also goes back to the different stats that I was reading on that actually South Africans, it was a stat that was done by Deloitte in 2023, somewhere around April, which showed that compared to Brazil and India, we are far below on the percentage on people that are actually saving. So we are somewhere roughly around 0.5%, while India and Brazil are 16.9% and 10% respectively. So it just shows that us as South Africans, we're actually not that great in saving. And also one other thing, the big thing is that also savings is not taught at home. It's not taught at school. So it has a huge, huge impact on how we live as well and how we showcase to people what we have and what we don't have.
Yeah. So, okay. So if it's not taught at home and it's not taught at school, and we don't have conversations around money and we're not taught how to save, how do we then begin to sort of rework our understanding around savings and our understanding around money or our relationship with money?
Yeah, with that one, it's a little bit difficult as you grow, but actually it goes back to an African proverb, which says that, I'll say it in Swati, it's called "Ikochwesa semandi," meaning that actually you can only teach someone while they're still young. And it goes back to that, is that if anything is taught towards young people, it can actually reach greater heights. And if it's taught to adults, it takes a little bit longer, but not necessarily saying that we won't be able to learn. Yeah. Hence why there's my favorite month, July, which is my birthday month as well. It's a month which is dedicated to empowering individuals and families on how to develop healthy financial habits to assist in securing their financial futures, which it's just educational things that are all over. We have YouTube, we have all these other things that are there to teach us. We just need to start searching. And I think we need to build desire from people, especially us as South Africans, on how can we go learn, where can we go search for this thing so that we can learn a lot better about our finances. Because I think the more a nation is well equipped financially, we're most likely going to change how things are, we're going to change how the economy is. And it's just a step-by-step process on how we can do that.
Hey, listen, Musa, I hear everything you're saying, and then I got to put a spanner in the works and say, in an ideal world, we all want to save, right? We all want to write down everything that Musa is going to say in the next 10 minutes so that we can do better and use July to springboard us to doing better. In an ideal world, in the practical world that we live in, saving becomes a real challenge when you start thinking, well, where do I even begin with the principle of saving when I'm just trying to patch month to month?
So with me, I'll say let's first start with why people aren't saving. Let's start with the problems, eliminate the problems, because sometimes we can still say, here's a plan, what I'm going to do and all of that, but there'll always be things that hinder that plan. Because sometimes we spoke now about the financial literacy part, is because that us as South Africans were not financially educated properly. But then that is a problem on its own, yes, but there's bigger problems where insufficient income is one of the biggest problems, where your salary is just too small. You're just not earning enough. And then that's where now you need to go into it as looking at it through as a budget per se. That yes, ideally, yes, you might not have every single thing that you want, but some of the things that you are paying towards might not be the right thing that you're paying for. If, let's say, for car insurance, you might be paying too much. You just need to go back, see a financial planner, say, you know what, maybe can I get me a lower quote on this? Medical aid. There's also ways where you can just start shopping around, changing things around. We speak about Wi-Fi, all those other things, too many things that if you look at your budget, you might be overpaying at certain things. And then there's also one of the biggest problems we have as South Africans, because when I was younger, I was told that peer pressure is something that we deal with as teenagers. But actually, peer pressure is something that we deal with a lot as adults. It's just that as adults, it just becomes more expensive. It's because you start buying a car that you can't afford. You start staying in a place that you can't even afford as well. And then all those factors factor into you not having enough money. So if you were to relook at it properly and say, you know what, I don't fit to have this car. Why don't I just downgrade? And also, it just goes back to, let's just stop us, this whole thing of looking at what people will say about us and just start focusing on us. We need to look after number one. Number one is us. At all those things that are just not effective. So that's where debt comes in as well, is that if we were to be able to cut some of this debt, like start saving before you start saving, focus on cutting out debt. Cut out that debt first. And then after that, we need to go back to this whole thing where procrastination is one of the biggest of killers, is because you want to save, but no, I'll start saving next month. I'll start saving the other month. Start now and then deal with it. And then also one of the biggest factors is also accountability. You need to have someone in your life that's going to keep you accountable to moving away from all the problems that we spoke about now to more a savings culture. And then from that, then we can start to say, this is my plan now. So also then now when it comes to the tips on how to save, first things first, you just need to have a plan. Where are you going? Where do you want to reach? Because there's a quote by Miles Monroe, which I'll just paraphrase it, which speaks on if you don't have a purpose for something, you're most likely going to abuse it. So it goes back to the same thing with our finances, is that if we don't have a purpose for our finances, we're most likely going to waste it. And sometimes we don't see ourselves wasting it. We just spend it recklessly. So if you have a budget, if you have a plan, this is what I want to do. From that, you create that budget, and then from that, you start small, as small as possible. If you're failing to save 1,000 rand, start with 100 rand.
Yes.
That feeling that you have achieved, you have actually done something, that feeling is what will propel you to be able to save 10,000 rand the following month of that, 1,000 rand. And now I'm talking about normal South Africans will be able to save that 1,000, 2,000 rand.
I mean, listen, I'm a big proponent in starting small, because the earlier you start, no matter how small you start, the better lead time you also give yourself. And I think that's the other thing when we talk about savings, right? When we go back to, we're not taught about savings, we're not taught about money, is also the conversations that when you get into your first job, as a big sister, it's always the thing I'm rattling off even to strangers. Like, you're in your first job now. You start saving even if it's just a little bit, because you're giving yourself lead time to have enough time to save for your lifestyle down the line.
No, that's actually quite true. I think it's a factor of if you were to start as early as possible with that small 100, 300, 400 rand, it makes a huge difference in front. Because also I'm going to speak about some other thing which I want to go back to debts. One of the biggest things that causes debts is unplanned events. Unplanned emergencies. I can even make a small example where you have a punctured tire.
Yeah.
A punctured tire for something that you didn't even plan for that month. Now, depending on what car you drive, you need to go spend 2,000 rand for a tire. And then what will happen? You dip into your credit, which might be a credit card. If you don't have such credit cards available, you might go to a small loan. And then just that's how it starts. And then you have a burst geyser at home. Also, those are small little things that always causes death. And then we shouldn't be people that now, just because we're unable to save, then now we think that we can go lend from other people. We need to have the savings ourselves. So I think it just goes back to that when you have those savings, an automated thing in your mind will always be that thing where I need to be accountable. I need to start saving more than enough than what I'll need, because one day I never know what situation I'll find myself in.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, if you're listening to me, I talk a big game all the time when we talk to financial people. But you know where my big stumble is? This little loop that we find ourselves in with credit cards. And I can tell you, Musa, I'll disclose between you and I today, I've been threatening to chop up my credit card for the last 20 years. It is a trap I'm in still till today. How do we navigate around that?
So I think with that one, the most easiest of thing is that just cut it down. Don't always just cut it completely, because when you cut it completely, you're most likely going to go apply for it again. Because what I always say to my clients is that if, let's say, you have a credit card of 30,000 rand, so instead of cutting the whole 30,000 rand out, reduce it bit by bit. Reduce it from that 30 to 20, from that 20 to 10, from 10 to 5. And then with 5, most people are able to live with that 5,000 rand credit. But some of the times you see that this is just your weakness, at some point you just have to remove it completely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I might deploy that strategy. If you're listening, that could be a strategy worthwhile. And just by way of a parting shot, if we had to take away one thing from you today that speaks to savings and speaks to setting ourselves up better financially, debt-free and otherwise, what is the one thing that you would wish we all just listened and did if we had to take one little action?
Educate yourself financially. I think that's the most important thing, because I think once you're able to educate yourself financially, know exactly what is what. Because also, I think one of the biggest problems with people is that we want to save, but we don't know where to save. That's where education on finances comes in. I think the most important thing, just educate yourself financially.
Yeah. Musa Nxumalo, thank you so much for the time. Musa is with, of course, Imbewu Financials, the head of retail. It's just gone 2:45. Ashraf is going to come through and quickly tell us what's coming up this afternoon on the National Pulse. But our WhatsApp line is still open on 061-410-4107 and 086-000-2032. What are the things that surprised you? One thing or two things that surprised you the most when you became a parent, that you wish somebody would have told you about or warned you about or prepared you for, that you just found shocking, surprising, and maybe even disarming once you became a parent? 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
Are you ready to buy or build your first home or buy a stand anywhere in South Africa? If you are a South African citizen, you and your spouse have never benefited from a government housing subsidy program, and your household income is between 3,501 and 22,000 Rand per month, your dream can be realized by applying for a first home finance subsidy. To apply, just log into the First Home Finance application online portal at firsthomefinance.co.za or call a call center agent on 010-085-2199 to assist you for free with completing your first home finance online application. Beware, applying for first home finance subsidy is free. Do not pay anyone when applying for the subsidy. The NHFC is an agency of the National Department of Human Settlements.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Ashraf is in the building. Before I find out what's coming up today on the National
Nappies,
Pulse,
yes.
Quick question. Nappies was your big surprise.
So myself and my friends or cousins then having conversations about nappies, like
the cost of nappies.
Well, the cost and what time you have to get up and change things, and I think the cost is a factor,
right?
I can't remember the brands any longer, but it's like, how crazy is that cost? So
I'm just happy that you were on midnight nappy duty, because dads avoid that like the plague. We go.
They do, yeah.
What's
so that's
coming up today?
Well, there's lots of ifs, whats, and maybes, just like yesterday, but we will chat around some developments around, the MK party. They've had, whether they want to call it a resignation or they've been pushed, including the Secretary General. So that's one. Donald Trump, he's been given some sort of immunity, which means Temba and I were talking, my producer, we say, I think he's going to run in for that presidency.
Of course.
I really think so. It's a strange world we live in. There's more. There's also an update on what's happening or not happening in Gauteng. We'll chat to Tessa Dooms about that. And then there's been conversation about the Government of National Unity and what that really means. And this whole debate, what is GNU? So we're going to chat to Rolf Meyer about that.
Okay.
One is about the definitions, but B, about just how do you keep the glue, from disparate groups, which obviously he would know. And just the last thing, I'm not sure where you live, but many parts of Joburg suburbs are without water for over a week, including my area. So it's now day 9, right? And there's been protests today. I think it's called hashtag No Water Joburg. So and it's over at least half the city, right? So we'll cover that story. There's protests at about 4:00, and we'll get them, and we'll get maybe Joburg Water.
And is this the water infrastructure that's causing the water outage, like in your neighborhood? The current maintenance?
I think it's a bit of both. They
happening?
said they're going to have being proactive regarding maintenance, which is like, okay, that's good. So we don't have a breakdown like electricity.
Yeah.
But then once they started the maintenance thing, they've never come back. So what should have been, that 6-week maintenance, what should have been like almost throttled water, there's been like zero. Like nothing. So now it comes back in trickles of like 1 hour, and then it goes away after again. So like just nothing. So anyway, and it's across many parts of the city, from Amarentia, Greenside, people in Coronationville, Mayfair, Robertsham. There are many, Blackgowrie, I believe. I mean, you can name it. Yeah.
What a wow! We are fortunate in my neighborhood that we missed this. It didn't affect us, so that was really good. Normally we get affected.
I wasn't going to say your chance will come. That would be nasty.
Oh, what a wowza. Ashraf is coming through between 3 and 6 on the National Pulse.
The world's best cooking show is coming to S3. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, Noma Upumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish, see if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Starts Saturday 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on S3, Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
SBV and Wiesbaden can't wait to spend 90 minutes with Eric Tinkler and his boys. The citizens want to emphasize that they have a superior tactical ability, but the visitors traveled miles from Germany in search of victory. Euro clashes with Africa. Do not miss out on the international encounter between SBV and Wiesbaden and Cape Town City FC on Thursday, 4 July at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
As we get ready to wrap up the show for the afternoon, we wanted to sneak in one or two of you for our conversation, our family meeting that we're carrying over from the previous hour, and asking you the question, when you became a parent, what were some of the things that were surprising to you, or shocking, or funny ha-ha, or the things you wish people told you about children and how children behave. There's been a lot, right? There's been a lot. You've heard Ashraf saying that it was the nappies that surprised him, not just the cost of the nappies, but also being on nappy duty in those early years. And we also had Daniel talking around, just some of the things that he's picked up with his children earlier on. There's been every kind of comment, really. You know what I love? I love that age group, the toddler age group, because they really seem to keep mom and dads on their toes. And you see it even on social media. They've got comebacks and clapbacks and all kinds of comments for all kinds of things. They just seem to leave the adults in the room like mouths ajar. Did you just say that? Remember that show, Steve Harvey, that used to have kids say the darndest things like, Did you really just say that? So 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Good afternoon, Sister Bridget is for the tracker. Sister Bridget, nobody warned me about the prices of diapers, Sister Bridget. Nobody warned me. Those things are supposed to be very cheap because you use it once, you throw it away. Why is it so expensive? But whenever I think about that price, I think twice to say, no, I'm not ready for another baby. No, I'm enough with those two icons.
Freddie, that's when you just go back to the old school nappies. Now you want to use the diaper. Just go back to the old school cotton nappies, put them in the washing machine. As I say that, I know that every mom that's listening to me is going, Bridget, please, you will not yourself be using old school nappies. Come on now. But yes, I've heard that the cost of diapers. In fact, a lot of my friends and other people that I know have had children, when they have the baby shower at pregnancy, over and above whatever the baby gifting list is, so over and above the car seats and the prams and everything else that's on the baby gift list, we often just buy diapers. We just buy diapers at various stages, newborns, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months. We just buy diapers because we understand the ngagi of the diaper being a lot. But 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp message, you're more than welcome to do so. We had Champ who wanted to know. Champ says that I must perhaps do a podcast and include my sentiments and views as a single who's not had babies yet. Well, point of correction, Champ, I'm not a single. I'm not a single, but I do not have babies and children as yet. I always put the as yet. I don't have babies and children as yet, but I do listen attentively to friends and other people who've got children. So I kind of know what to expect, but like you listening and everyone else, I probably know that when I get in there, it's not going to be what I imagined it to be, The late nights and the diaper changes and the expensive diapers and the little cheeky clapbacks when they start to using their words and the little temper tantrums. Did I tell you the other day, we took my niece out. 2 Fridays ago, I left the show and I joined my sister friends, and we have a little niece in the group, and she must be 6 now. Little grade 1er. Did she not show us flames at the restaurant? Oh, tell me. She showed us flames. We literally had to pack up our late lunch, stop the drinks, pack it up and go home because little Mrs. iPad ran out of the battery. And she couldn't hear anything because of the noise levels in the restaurant. Apparently, as she put it, this is a grown people place. And so we had to leave. Literally at 4:30, we left to go home so that she could watch Peppa Pig and everything else on her fully charged iPad. That is the trauma. So I understand what you go through as parents. I laugh, but I understand. 0614104104107. Let's go to WhatsApp. You just go back to the old school nappies.
Hi, Bridget. Well, for me, I think the one thing that I think someone could have told me is they are not the same. Like, You can have a quiet baby and then you are trapped and you think, oh, but babies are nice. And you make your second baby and they're a headache. My 3-year-old is a headache. She's a handful. So yeah. I wish someone could have just prepared me to say they are not going to be the same. They are not going to behave the same. They have a little bit of attitude that you need to put in the line. You know.
I mean, is it attitude though? Is it attitude or is it personality? Maybe it's how we look at it. You know what I mean? Is it that sass that you speak about? It's just a little edge to their personality. But I love it because it seems like those toddlers really do keep you all on the toes. They really do ensure that you are clued in and you are focused and you are paying attention to every little thing about life, which is it's a wonderful thing. And the time will pass so quickly. And before long, you'll wish that they were 3 again, and giving you a little bit of that sass. And I bet you they don't do that to their grandparents. I bet you they don't do that to their grandparents. Because this is what I know about children from just observing and listening to parents. Children are manipulative, especially the younger they are. They are manipulative. Let's see. Maybe we can sneak in just one more voice note on this one before we go. We see them coming through. Let's see if we can sneak in just one last one. And then we hand over to Ondela to bring you the 3 o'clock news.
Those diapers, as everybody is talking about them being so expensive, are a hazard to the environment, eh? They're a curse to the environment. There's an environmental group here in Makanda called River Rescue. And invariably, when they go to clean up the rivers, out come these diapers from the rivers. It's destroying the ecosystem. It's destroying our environment. Those things should be banned.
Definitely a worthy note. Yeah, definitely a worthy note and something to be considered. Also considering the volumes of diapers. How do we dispose of them? I don't even know if I would presume that diapers are recyclable entities though, right? I would presume it's just about how do you get them from the household to a respective place that can, cleanse and do all it needs to do, purify before then it gets recycled. But I wonder, actually, you opening up a different dimension to this conversation. And we're all about environmental awareness on the show. So, we'll throw that question out to folks in the diaper sector to find out. I'm pretty sure they are recyclable. It's just maybe it's not communicated to parents, and then we don't have the necessary facilities as to you go and dump them here so that they can be recycled. That is how we wrap it up this afternoon from our end. We thank you so much for choosing to be in conversation with us. We don't take it for granted, of course, and for sharing all your stories about parenthood and the things that surprised you. We're leaving you now. Ondela is bringing you the 3 o'clock news, and then Ashraf is coming through after that. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 3. National Assembly holds its first plenary meeting under the new administration, and company appointed irregularly for Mahwe's funeral. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. A public protector has found that the C Squared, the events company appointed as a service provider for the funeral of the late Free State Education MEC Tate Mahwe, was without following the